City Fizzard for Rebel News here in Calgary, Alberta at the Calgary International Airport. As you can see behind me, the police have a full blocked off area here. A lot of people were expecting President Donald Trump to land just over here, but through a few travels around the Calgary airport, we found President Donald Trump's departure from his plane, landing and greeting Premier Danielle Smith. Now, I'm starting with that, but this is the recap of day one for our reporting on the G7 meeting in Kananaskis. So that was how it ended. Is President Donald Trump got off his plane and he had a motorcade that's going to be bringing into Calgary. But unlike all of the other motorcades for all of the other world leaders, his happens to be up in the sky with enough military might to take down a small nation. So that's his motorcade. But fun fact, it is actually less obstructing to local traffic, which has been a large issue for the motorcades and some of the practice stuff that's been going on. So all in all, actually more respectful of an approach than we've seen from other leaders. But it was very interesting to note that Mark Carney, our Prime Minister here in Canada, wasn't actually there at the tarmac to greet President Donald Trump. It was only Premier Danielle Smith. But as you might be able to expect, those two have a bit of a better relationship than Prime Minister Mark Carney and President Donald Trump. So that was that. There's a few things that happened today. We did go to Banff. We checked out the media center. So there's a few reports I want to show you from that. Take a look. As you can see, I am in the media center for the Kananaskis G7 Summit. This is taking place in Banff, Alberta this year. And I just wanted to show you guys a little look. There's expected to be 1,400 media members attending this summit. It's going to be a massive event. And I just want to say thank you to our viewers from letusreport.com. We had to fight the federal government legally just to get here, just to be in this room, to get our accreditations for this event. So it's thanks to your generous support that we were able to get here. As for most of the people behind us, a lot of these news organizations are taking government funding. That means that oftentimes they are going to have to express a narrative either that is supportive of the federal government or hide certain things because the federal government is trying to play defense for something. But not at Rebel News. That's why we're here, to bring you the other side of the story, to bring you the story that the people deserve to hear. And you can check out our latest reports at g7reports.com. So I found the media pool for Canadian media outlets. These are the ones that are going to get special access from the Prime Minister's office in order to attend certain events in Kananaskis itself, whereas most of the media and everyone right now, as you can see, is set up in Banff, where there are going to be some press conferences and what have you, but obviously the main event is going to be in Kananaskis, and unless you get your special PMO badge, as opposed to the accredited media badge, you're not going to be able to get anywhere near the Kananaskis G7 Summit. As we were going around the media center here in Banff, I noticed the Trans-Canada Pipelines Pavilion, and I just thought it was pretty funny that they have this here, considering that Alberta has been beckoning the federal government for 10 years, but specifically with Mark Carney as well, to get a pipeline built. It's the single most important thing for Alberta's economy, and as it stands, everybody's just waiting for Prime Minister Mark Carney to deliver, even though he's said many times that, you know, he's in favor of this, he's in favor of that, he wants to increase trade between provinces. Well, that's great, but he still hasn't delivered for Alberta, and Albertans know, and they are waiting. And unfortunately, here at the Kananaskis G7 Summit, hosted by Canada, meaning Prime Minister Mark Carney has the agenda set out on his own behalf, he determines it. Environmental integrity, blah, blah, stuff like that is high priority. But when it comes to an actual pipeline, when it comes to actually getting energy to market, these questions are still undetermined.
Let's get the commitment that we are going to build a new pipeline, and then I'll have to work with the Prime Minister to make sure that we can repeal or significantly amend the policies.
We also went to the town of Banff, inside the town itself, actually, where there's a designated demonstration zone. It's not set up today. It's going to be prepared for tomorrow and the day after for those protesting the G7. But there was one protester already there, and here's a quick word from him.
What has brought me to this parking lot in the middle of Banff is Bill C2, which is supposed to be limiting the border for immigration and everything like that. However, it's a bill to limit cash to $10,000, not only for charities, but also for cash purchases, which is the first step for central bank digital currency and digital IDs and tracked, traced, controlled money that is being implemented already in China and in the Ukraine as we speak, and researched in pretty much every country around the world with the exception of Ecuador and Nicaragua. And Denmark has canceled it recently. However, it is very soon to be determined if they will still stick to their promise.
Now, obviously, right now we are in Banff, Alberta. We're at the designated protest site. It hasn't been set up yet. It's going to be set up tomorrow and the day after, but that's obviously why you're here. You're protesting the G7. Why is that a message that the G7 needs to recognize?
It's a message that the G7 needs to recognize so the population can have real freedom again, which includes responsibility, fairness, and respect, which we have Canadians and people all around the world have lost. And to regain it, it's going to require everybody to unite to one solution, put aside whatever political differences we may have, and say, we love what our country can be, and we love the strength that our people have had in the past, and we want to go back to that while still being accepting and tolerant to those that are tolerant to us, unless they are being overly authoritarian to us and telling us to use their words and telling us to use their language and to conform.
And what is it specifically about the G7, right? Because obviously there's like the World Economic Forum, there's the G7, there's other kinds of events like this. Why specifically the G7? What's the problem with the G7?
Well, the problem with the G7 is all the political leaders that come together are coming together to basically assert their power, their dominance, and control over the citizenry, and the people that aren't aware of this need to be aware of this on the world stage so the world can know about the issues, so it can get out there so everybody is aware, as opposed to a small percentage of the population that is aware and doing something about it right now as we speak.
And I want to make a quick note here on the police officers that were on site where we were viewing President Donald Trump's departure from his plane. And I take a bit of an issue with this because he said that he was giving us special access to be where we were filming President Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is we had to fight for our accreditation in the courts to be accredited media for the G7.
Yeah.
She's only got one entrance.
Yeah, and you guys are more or less set up in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we just want to get a better shot.
And imagine where that sign they set up there is probably.
That's going to be a good spot.
Yeah.
Too,
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of seek extra clarity because we just got accredited on Friday. And
Oh, okay.
yeah.
We don't want problems.
No, that's fine. We're just hiding out of the way. We don't want to be in any because we're just
No, I get
There's
it.
just nowhere for us to hide other than behind this gym.
Yeah. No, appreciate
But
it.
I imagine that's no trouble. But
Let me know in the comments what you think. The most interesting thing is here at the G7 in Kananaskis. What are you paying attention to as this unfolds? For Rebel News, I'm Sydney Fizzard. G7reports.com is where you have to go if you want to see all of our reports from this Kananaskis G7 summit here in Alberta. So that's G7reports.com.